Okay, we are ready when you are, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Just waiting for the longest minute.
Remember when I used to start that recording at 5 minutes too in the early days? And
Yeah. 5 minutes of awkward quietness. Yeah. Okay. At 10 o'clock, so I'll call the meeting of the Finance Administration Committee to order. I am Chairman Tobin Hope. I'm attending remotely from my humble abode in the city of Mount Pleasant, Isabella County.
I'm Jerry Jalazinski, participating from my home in Chippewa Township, Isabella County, Michigan.
And I'm Jim Horton. I'm participating from my office in Big Rapids, Michigan, Mecosta County.
Okay, next up is call to the public. Nicole, do we have any public?
we do not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and if somebody does call in, there's another opportunity before we adjourn. So with that, we'll move on to the first item, which is consider approving the request to hire an Isabella County Sheriff's Deputy at pay grade deputy step 3 years in the amount of $56,391.27. And I see Sheriff Main is here with us. How you doing today, sir?
Good morning, everybody.
Morning. I read through the report. This individual has been an officer for 10 years in the community, has extensive training, including some specifically that will work out real well for your department. So I don't know if you want to take it from there. Sure.
I appreciate that. So, this employee or this person has worked for us in the past. He left prior to our market value increase in wages, and he left for that reason. It's kind of a warm feeling to know that we can attract some of those people back that we've lost, and that's on the commissioner. They provided that resource, that avenue for us. So, some of the training that this person has, we paid for. So defensive tactics and things that are so critical in our business, but for him to come back after where he's at would take a pretty big hit if you come in at the entry level. And quite frankly, we can put he's been in this community. He knows our system, RMS systems. He knows our process. He knows the courts. I mean, it's literally a couple of weeks and he's on the road. So he's a great avenue for us to get somebody back right away. We've lost 2 already, and we have a third. They just put the retirement papers in. So it's imperative that we start this from, we're hiring so we don't get into that position we were in a few years ago. We were so short staffed. He's actually increased some of his training abilities. He's a supervisor in the department that he's at now. So he's got lots more experience coming back to us. He's excited. He has nothing ill will to his old department. He just wants a little bigger space and a little more workload. And he's kind of a working guy, and I never had an issue with him. He's always upbeat and good. So I'm hoping the commissioners will look at this and feel the same way I do about attracting this person back.
Well, it certainly makes a lot of sense. It's nice for you to be able to hire somebody that somebody that's experienced, somebody that's had extensive training. I'm sure that all cuts down on a lot of time getting a new employee and getting him to work.
Yeah, huge amounts of time, huge.
Yeah. Any comments?
Well, Commissioner, I would just add that the sheriff and I have talked about this for a couple weeks now, a few weeks, I guess, Mike. And you'll notice I had a total compensation act put together. This is what we do when we are going to offer someone a job. We put the total compensation together. We still have the occasional person, even with the reclassification, that is like, no, the salary isn't that good. But when they see the benefits on top of the reclassification, I think it makes a huge difference. So we included this in the sheriff included this in his staff report because we provided it to him. But again, the sheriff's office is so crucial. What they do is so crucial. They have had unusual string of terrible crimes, I guess would be the word I would use. recently. Terrible, I'm not even sure that's a good enough word, Sheriff. Horrendous, I guess would be a better word. Crimes that they have had to deal with in the last 3 months maybe. And having that, being short-staffed is not a good thing. And it opens us up to liabilities, both with actions and deeds and somebody being injured, and all of those things that we want to avoid. I think this is a great option for the sheriff's office and for the county to bring this person back in who is fully trained, well-known, well-respected, is just a good thing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So,
One thing I would add, Mr. Chair, is, because we've had a couple of the staff leave already, so I don't anticipate, by doing this, we have to make any adjustments out of general fund or into the budget. I think the money will be there in the payroll line items just because we've got excess money now because we're down a few people. So I don't see any adjustments that are required this year.
okay, that's good. Commissioner Jelezinski?
I see this as a reasonable proposal, and I think what everybody commented already, increase in crime and the challenges faced by the sheriff's office. We certainly can't risk understaff dramatically because it's going to impact our community in a very negative way. So I'll be very supportive of this proposal when it goes forward.
Very good. Commissioner Horton?
Likewise, just my sheriff, real quick, I know that you can't reveal any information too much on who the identity of the person is, but the length of time the applicant served with the sheriff's department in the past, how long did the person serve?
I think he had about 6 years in, 5 or 6 years in.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So bring it back at a 3-year level from a 6-year employee. Yeah. So I agree with both the two other commissioners. I think this is a good step for the community. Thank you, Chairman.
Yep, absolutely. With that, yes.
You want me to move this or you want to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll move, consider approving the request to hire an Isabella County Sheriff Deputy at pay grade Deputy Step 3 years in the amount of $56,391.27.
And I'll support that. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion will move forward. Sheriff, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We will move on to the next item is consider approving the agreement for animal shelter services between the Humane Animal Treatment Society HATS and Isabella County effective December 1st, 2021 through December 30th, 2023, and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same. And Margaret, I know you've been working on this contract and you probably want to take it from here.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes. So I have met with Joe Barberry, who has been the lead negotiator for, I don't know if I would really use the word negotiator, I guess so. The lead representative from HATS. I think we met once and we spoke once, and then we kind of broadened our team, and I brought the sheriff and Nicole into the discussion, and he brought Lee Fabiano into the discussion, who is the chairman of the board. We had 2 or 3 editions of the contract going forward, going back and forth. It was a very pleasant process. I will say that it was a very positive process. The HATS organization does great work for us, and they are a dedicated bunch of folks, whether they're board members or volunteers or staff members. Like everyone else, they've had increases in their costs, as we have had increases in ours. They did ask for a $20,000 increase to their grant or to their contract. And after these discussions, that is what's in the renewed contract. They also wanted to do some changing to their hours. They wanted to clarify some duties and responsibilities, as we did. At this point, we are very happy with the document. I think they're happy with the document. They asked to have the document be 2 years old. I think that really has to do more with transitions that are happening in the county than it does with any reflection of anything, either on HATS or the county. I think they wanted to kind of see what happens with new leadership and those types of things. So at this point, you know, I'm recommending the agreement. One thing that we wanted to do, it was really important to us, there had been some, I'm going to use the term confusion, about surrendering of animals. And it's important to us that if an animal owner brings their animal in because they are unable to care for them and keep them safe, then we want to make sure that HATS is going to accept that surrender. We don't want those folks told, we'll take the dog home and, you know, work it out. We don't want that to happen. So there's some pretty strong language in here about surrenders of dogs and cats, frankly. And that was important to us as a county. We wanted to make sure that that was happening. And that also we wanted to make sure that if we had a dog that was housed there, that was had to do with a prosecution, that dog would be certainly classified and clearly identified, that dog was to be held until it was released by animal control. Now, sometimes we have had an occasion in the last 8 years that I've been here, you know, a dog bite's a dog bite until it's a dog bite in a child's face, or it's a dog bite that, you know, seriously injures somebody or whatever. All dog bites certainly are investigated and taken care of, but we've had some pretty nasty cases. And in some of those cases, those dogs have had to be held for a year. And that's a long time to hold a dog, but if you don't have the dog, you don't have the evidence. So that's very important that that's clearly stated, and that is very clearly stated in this document. So I think those are the 4 highlights. There's also some adjustment in hours, which we had a discussion on, we ended up not having a problem with. You know, they will also be doing things by appointment if the public needs that. One thing we did agree to that I want to make sure that you know, in case you see it down the road, when you drive by down the road, we agree that they can put a sign up on the building, and like we have a sign out front, you know, in the property. We have a sign out front in the dirt. We've agreed to them that they could put a sign there, or they could put a sign on the property signifying that a HATS sign. The agreement does say that that has to be approved by the administrative controller before it can go up. So we want to just make sure that it's something that is appropriate for the facility and appropriate. But we have a partnership. We've had a partnership with them for years, and I think it's a good thing for them to have their sign on the building too.
Yep. I think the expanded hours certainly will help. Help people get down there if they're interested in adopting an animal. I thought it was interesting in the old contract, the county was responsible for euthanizing animals on Monday and Tuesday, and then HATS was responsible on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I thought that was odd. And I see that's not in the new contract, but.
Well, you know, our animal control officer is licensed to euthanize and has the medications needed to do that humanely. HATS has the medical clinic, which they built and they paid for at a cost of about $350,000, which includes the Spain surgical suite. But, you know, I believe that their veterinarian at the time was working that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday schedule. So they needed somebody there just in case an animal was suffering or if it was in the best interest of the animal. So yeah, our animal control officer did provide that. And he probably will still do that, you know, when that is needed, but they've expanded their services, and their veterinarian, I believe, is there every day now.
Okay, so my other question is animal control staff is now at the sheriff's department and not at the shelter?
Yes, the animal control staff has been moved to the sheriff's office. The sheriff and I have talked about this for years. Many counties, the animal control officer reports to the sheriff's office, many counties. And many counties, they're a deputy. And that deputy then takes the animal control certification training. In this case, our animal control officer is not a deputy, but animal control is an enforcement job. they're there to enforce the dog rule of 1919 and the animal ordinances that we have in the county. HATS is there to maintain the shelter, take care of the shelter, feed and care for the animals, and adopt them out. And frankly, sometimes those have been, has not always worked out well. We'll just leave it at that. And sometimes the priorities have not meshed. And so we just thought it was best that we'd always talked about moving them to just go ahead and move them. It doesn't change their salary, doesn't change their classification, doesn't change anything like that. It changes where they report to work. And so far, I'm sure the sheriff will say this too, because I hear it from him all the time. So far it is working out fabulous for them. They are so happy to be there. They are in if you know much about law enforcement's a family. And there is no doubt in my mind, law enforcement is a family. And Annette and Roger, I think, are enjoying that relationship. So yes, they are there now. They're housed there. Now, there's still, we're going to go back to the shelter, we're going to go back to the shelter and that will go and, eventually take care of some financial things or whatever. But we're also trying to the sheriff is going to eventually change the reporting system that our animal control officer uses. So it's the same reporting system law enforcement uses. And that will also be better for the prosecutor. So that will be a very huge improvement. We're getting Annette all hooked up on BSNA so that she can take care of things through BSNA and not be using some different type of a system that was available there. It's just a better situation all the way around.
That makes sense. Is it just the two individuals, Roger and
Yes, there's
okay.
only two, there's two animal control employees. All the other people there are either employees of HATS or volunteers. Yes.
Okay.
I will tell you, I did send all of this information. I sent the staff report and the two contracts to Joe Barberi this weekend. I also sent them to Lee Fabiano. I also sent a lengthy email inviting them to attend the meeting today if they would like, and if they did, to let us know when we get to a Zoom link. And they could speak in public comment. And I also invited them to Tuesday night's meetings, next Tuesday night, Board of Commissioners and work session, either in person or, via Zoom. But I think they have been very supportive through this whole process, and we've had a really good relationship.
Good. Glad to hear that. Sheriff, did you have something you want to add?
I just wanted to add real quick, Margaret and Nicole brought me into some of the conversations, with the negotiation stuff. So we're kind of building some rapport with their staff already, which is nice. But, one of the advantages of having the animal control officer under the office of the sheriff's office, we're gonna, work on a body camera, Mike. We're gonna do some things to kind of help protect and increase some, reduce some liability concerns and issues that might be out there. We're also going to, work on getting him some mid-level grade access to residents, so he'll be able to see the premises when there's domestics or other violent issues that are going on in those places. So he can be a little safer on his end. We're going to work on a vest for him. So, we're already in the process of hopefully increasing his capabilities and securities and everything. So I think it will work out real well. It's been a good fit here. They just went right to work and we didn't see much change on our end. So
Good. Makes a lot of sense. Commissioner Jasinski.
Yes, I think it's, on the face of it, it's a very good agreement. I just have one question. I looked at the agreement and I see that the county will continue its property and liability insurance. I suspect that's for like slip and falls on the property and those kind of things. And I see the contract also does require HATS to provide its own liability insurance, which covers its specific operation. Has this been passed by the MMRMA for review? After 20 years on one of their risk committees, I'm always surprised the things that they come up with that I hadn't thought about.
This particular one has not been passed, has not been referred to them. The previous one was, I don't generally refer contracts to MMRMA. I usually refer them to our legal counsel, and our legal counsel did review this contract. And they're really good about picking out things like, oh, you might want to add this insurance or add that insurance. So this has been through legal.
Okay, in the future, I guess I would suggest that when it deals with liability and that it does get passed through the MMRMA, because I think they do provide good insight and suggestions for the final contract. Other than that, I think it looks like a good way to go, and I wish Hats well and the Sheriff's Department well.
Commissioner Horton, do you have anything you want to add?
Sheriff, I just picked up on something you said about animal control. Again, this isn't really in regards to the HATS contract, but I was surprised to hear that animal control never was not wearing a bulletproof vest, because I've heard some stories about him having to go on the properties and, people who are mistreating animals. I don't think it's not too far above it to mistreat humans. So or even below it. I mean, sometimes, and that's shocking to me to hear that. So yeah, that's a positive. I mean, I think just from you talk liability standpoint, wow, that's scary. I mean, that's animal control. That's a job that if Mike Rowe's dirty jobs, that would probably be one that would fit. Going in and people are passionate about their pets, and usually everything's positive with pets, but sometimes there are negatives, and you always want to have safety first and foremost. So anyway, that's all I have to add. I have nothing against this agreement. I think HATS is very passionate in our community, and I think it's another emphasis of good, positive community involvement. And listening to Margaret just mention the names involved in the people who are, like Joe Barbary and Lee Fabiano. Those are two. I'm not want to age them at all, but they're pillars in our community, and I think their representation just speaks volumes for what the HATS organization is. So I'm in favor of it.
Very good. I'll move then that we move this agreement for animal shelter services between Humane Animal Treatment Society and Isabella County to the work session.
I'll support that.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Any further discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Which brings us down to invoice list discussion. And Sheriff, if we still have you here, I have a question on one of the invoices. Before I make an assumption that may or may not be correct. But under WellPath LLC, I'm not sure which list it's on, but WellPath LLC, it says $14,830. Fiscal year 21 medical cost over 60,000. Maybe you can help me understand what that means.
Well, probably not offhand, because I'm not quite
Okay.
sure what it means either, but I do know when I've talked to, the jail attendant or administrator and the nurse and stuff, and we are probably getting closer past our cap. I know we've had lots of high risk and more challenging inmates that have required additional medications and psychotropic drugs and things like that. So that's definitely something that's been on our radar, but I'd have to look into a little more details unless Margaret or Nicole can.
Okay.
shed light on it.
I did not intend to throw you off guard on that one.
Every day, it doesn't matter. I'm up for the challenge.
Okay.
I would think, again, this is off the top of my head, but I would think that the 1480 or 14,830.33 is going towards the same inmate who now, if you add all their costs up, is over the 60,000 K per person. So that means that
Okay.
that's per contract. So I think they're hitting kind of like, sometimes you hit your cap. I think it's kind of hitting the cap, don't you, Sheriff? We can touch base and get that more defined for you.
Correct. I think that's what it was. And again, I know we had this conversation with my jail administrator here a couple weeks ago that we were peaking some numbers here, unfortunately. So yeah, and sometimes there's not a lot we can do about that.
Yep. That's the only question I had on the invoices. The only thing I saw that stuck out in my mind. Commissioner Jelzinski, did you have any?
No, I did notice that the reimbursements were going out to the township, and I thank the administration for that, for the 911 special election. Other than
Yeah,
that,
thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Administration, we did end up handling that. So at the clerk's office, due to the election they were having and getting ready for the election they had there on the 2nd, I believe, it was just Mindy asked if we could just handle that, and we did. So they have gone out as far as I know. So thank you for noticing that.
Commissioner Horton, do you have anything?
No, I got nothing as far as that goes. Sheriff, you say that the amount reimbursement, I know you don't really know exactly what that is. You do have a cap though on prescription drugs, if I recall, or generic drugs, or it can't exceed that. So in piggybacking on what Margaret said, one patient, depending on what they come in with, it's, I don't want to say some of the conditions people have, but you always, for lack of a better term, take your inmate as you find them. But yeah, that can get expensive really, really quick, especially if they're on a certain type of maintenance medication, and the reimbursement. And I don't exactly know the ins and outs of reimbursement with jail facilities, whether it's billable to state agencies, or if it's billable to federal agencies, or if it's billable to commercial plans. That's, Sheriff, you and your administration know all about that. But I can just tell you that just in the general world, 20% of the drugs account for 85 to 90% of the spend. So it only takes one or two drugs to throw everything off whack. So again, that's really all I have to say. There are, I just gave a presentation about a purchasing source called 340B. I don't think the sheriff and municipalities fall under that. I'm certain municipalities don't, but in regards to sheriff's departments, but there are entities out there, but right now, again, like I said, one patient can really, one inmate, I call them patients, but can really affect the county. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner, just real quick, so that's a tough challenge, because private insurances and stuff do not work inside the jail, and that's been one of our sticking points. We work with our partners at CMH and different places, and in fact, I just last Friday had breakfast with several, including Senator Altman, and about crisis intervention team. They got some additional funds, but we brought that topic up again, that this is a hard process. I know there's a lot of talk with some of the bills down in Lansing now to change things drastically, which would be real scary, but so we had those conversations, and anybody that ever wants to listen, we have those conversations. So it does make it a real big challenge. I can tell you that the courts are somewhat keeping up, or getting closer, or getting some of their caseloads done, because we are moving some folks out of the facility down into, MDOC, or, whatever. So we're seeing some movement. So hopefully some of those high risk ones that, we were going to keep for a long time might be the state's responsibility soon. So.
Thank you.
Good. Anything else, Commissioner Jelzinski?
nothing.
Okay, all right. Nicole, do we have any public?
We do not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, then before we adjourn, Commissioner Horton, anything you want to add before we?
I just like to add, I almost had to buy the people on the screen lunch because I already owe the commissioners dinner for next Tuesday night. But as Sheriff was talking, I look over at my phone, I go, crap, I just think I forgot to turn my phone to mute. So I did that real quick, and so I wouldn't have to owe anybody any lunches from this meeting. So that's all I have by our chairman.
It didn't ring, so that's all it
No,
matters.
that's good. And thank goodness. So.
Yep. Okay, thanks, everyone. And we will adjourn at 10:29.
Just to let you know, there's a very light agenda next week for the board meeting. There are 2 items on human resources, nothing on criminal justice, and 2 items on finance. So you might want to hold Commissioner Chairman Horton to buying you dinner at a different time when you have more. Just saying.
Okay, appreciate that. Margaret, hope you feel better.
Thank you. I'm sure I will. Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.